Hey friends, it's Laura at Aquamarine18, and it's been a while, but I figured I would film a favorites video. I filmed a couple of monthly favorites videos, and I have a playlist for that, and I like it as a kind of concept to do every month, but I had a couple of months there that were just very busy, dominated by work, and where I wasn't like in the best place, if I'm completely honest. Um, and so the idea of making videos about kind of what I enjoyed for the month was just not something that I felt particularly inclined to do the last little while. But this past month of November, I feel like it's been a good month, and I have some time this weekend to do some filming, and I figured, yeah, I would like to do a favorites video for November. So I'm going to share a couple of decks and a couple of books that I've been enjoying over the course of November. And I am enjoying watching other people's monthly kind of recaps and favorites videos as always. If you're someone who doesn't make videos but has been particularly enjoying a particular deck or a book or something like that, feel free to respond in the comments if you like. So without further ado, I'm going to share 2 Oracle decks and 1 tarot, which I've been working with over the course of the month. The first Oracle deck is the Spirit Doodle cards by L. Ron Mills. And I just actually filmed a review of this deck, a detailed review, so I won't say too much about this deck here for the sake of not repeating myself. But it's a really neat, abstract doodle deck, which I've been enjoying working with. The guidebook is great and has lots of associations in it to work with. The music associations have been particularly enjoyable for me, as have some of the self-care activities. I've been enjoying pairing this deck with lots of things. So it's not a deck I've had that long. I can't remember now if I got it in September, or no, not September. I can't remember now if it would have arrived in October or November. But I've been working with it a lot of the month. So that's one of my favorites. And it's been sitting on my table, and I'm sure it will continue to do so. The other Oracle deck that I've been working with that I got early in the month, I have not done a video of yet, but I am going to be doing a detailed deck review and posting that video soon. Not today, but soon. And that Oracle deck is the Fauna Inspiration Nature-Inspired Illumination cards by Rebecca Lefebvre and Phoebe Hunt of Avec la Vie is their website. And this is an animal deck. And I had been looking at it for a long time. It had been on the wish list, but I hadn't actually seen, anybody really talk about this deck very much. But then I saw that Julie at Peekaboo Rose, hi Julie if you're watching, had it. So I had asked her a couple of questions about it, and it ended up in my basket as well. So it's a watercolor with pen and ink drawings of animals over top of the watercolor. And the messages for this deck are on the back of the cards, which is part of what drew me to it. So each animal has a keyword, a paragraph, message, and an elemental association with fire, water, air, earth, or spirit. It's 57 cards, and folks will know, if you've watched my channel, you'll know that animal decks are a preferred genre, I guess, of an Oracle deck. So this one appealed to me very much so, and I've been working with this deck for mostly daily draw in the morning. I love this happy pig. And I've paired this deck with a number of others. It is also one that gets along with others quite well. It feels a little bit, but also part of what drew me to this deck, I guess at this time of year, is I feel like with a lot of the white background, there's something kind of slightly wintry feeling about it to me, or slightly snowy feeling about it to me. So it which is not to say that I think it reads like coldly or anything like that. I don't. But I thought it felt like a good deck for this time of year, and I was right. So I won't say too much else. I am going to post a detailed deck review once I'm done with that. I've worked with it long enough now that I feel like I can offer my thoughts. So that's the Fauna Inspiration Nature-Inspired Illumination Cards Oracle deck. My final favorite for November, and the tarot deck that has captured my heart this month, is the Augenblick Tarot, or Augenblick Tarot. If somebody speaks German better than me, please tell me. Augenblick, I'm assuming. I spent a lot of time in Germany, actually, but I picked up like nothing. Really bad. So the Augenblick deck is a square deck. It is created by Shannon Loftus. This is the back, so it's kind of it's almost like an old wallpaper look on the back. They're not reversible, but they're close enough. If you wanted to read with reversals, you could. And as a square deck, the guidebook that comes with it, which is a paperback guidebook, talks about how you can read the cards if they're tilted kind of one way or the other, or completely reversed. And I've been kind of approaching it. I've been mostly reading with it upright. I have in the past read reversals as kind of a standard part of my practice, but lately, particularly with more Rider-Waite-Smith inclined decks, and particularly with spreads where I have dedicated spread positions, I have been working with reversals less and less. But I do have a round deck that I'll sometimes read with kind of rotation, so I would approach this similarly personally. So this is a deck that is made of photographs, and there's a couple with people in them, like this one, but most of them are scenes, or they're particularly, it's like architectural designs. There's a lot of interiors, there's a lot of courtyards, and I thought that this deck would be really great for pathworking meditations. It's very different from anything that I have ever worked with before. This Five of Swords came up for me yesterday. It's a very different deck, and this deck was around maybe a year ago. This is another deck I'm going to do a detailed deck review of. I have a lot to say about this deck. Suffice to say, for the purpose of this favorites video, that I really like it. This was a deck that was around maybe a year or so ago. Shannon, the creator, independently published it. And at the time it was published, I liked the looks of it, and I saw a walkthrough of the deck, I want to say by Kelly Fitzgerald at The Truth and Story. And I had seen it, and I had kind of thought about it, but at the time, I really wasn't sure how this could possibly fit into my way of reading. So I admired it aesthetically, but did not purchase it. It went out of print, or it sold out. And then more recently, I saw the creator put out a kind of call saying, wanting to assess if there was interest in the deck, and she would do another round of printing, if so. And she has a Augenblick Oracle too. I think it's called also Augenblick Oracle, but and the tarot, and so said, if enough people express interest in the deck, it could get published again. And so I messaged and said yes. For the tarot deck, I would be interested. And then it was kind of some waiting to see like if enough people had been interested, and it turns out that there were. So I had pre-ordered it, and it came. And today, actually, when I'm done filming, I have a couple things to do today. I'm going to be making some soup with peanut butter and sweet potato and collard greens. It's really snowy today. We're getting like 15 centimeters of snow. in one day. My commute tomorrow is going to suck. But I'm going to be making some soup. But beyond making soup, I want to work on making a bag for this deck, because it kind of came wrapped in kind of a wrapping paper, more so than like in any kind of box. Like it shipped well. It was like safe and in good condition and everything, but it's not really a box that you would reuse. It's more like wrapping paper. So I want to make something to keep this deck in. I got the book, and the book for this deck is really great. Something that's interesting is that for every card, and it's a full color guidebook. For every card, they have the information about where the interior or the scene, where the picture was taken. And I've found for me that with this deck, you could go without this for sure, and just kind of go by the feel, like the atmospheric feel of the card. But also that reading kind of where the location is makes a big difference too. So I've been really enjoying exploring this deck, and I feel like I'm like just scratching the surface of it. I've done lots of kind of one card draws in the morning with this deck, and then I've also done some bigger readings, like a new moon reading for myself, and it read like really beautifully. Came with some extra cards, which is cool. So I'm going to save the rest of my comments on the Augenblick Tarot for my detailed deck review. But I love this deck. Definite favorite tarot-wise for November. So in terms of books, I've read a couple of books, or reading a couple of books. One book that I read was The Fifth Sacred Thing by Starhawk. And this is a kind of utopian dystopian combo book, in that it takes place in a future wherein a kind of utopian in a way enclave community coexists, but separated from a dystopian nightmare in all kinds of ways. And the two, of course, like come into contact and come into conflict. And the more utopian, we'll say, setting, the people have to kind of decide how they're going to approach this conflict, right? Coming from a more pacifist perspective, have to kind of figure out how they're going to deal with encountering this authoritarian, violent force coming into their community. I enjoyed it. I read a lot of speculative fiction, fantasy, science fiction, and enjoy both kind of utopian and dystopian futures as imagined worlds. So I liked it in that way. Starhawk comes from a kind of environmentalist, feminist, anarchist kind of perspective. So I really liked seeing how that kind of played out in the worlds that she imagined. I struggled with it at times because it was quite like graphically violent in ways that were not great for me. So it was like difficult in that way. But I liked a lot of the characters and a lot of things about it. And I was kind of alerted to the existence of this book by Kara, who's CuteWitch772, I think is the number, on YouTube, when we were talking in the Discord server in Katie Flowers' Blossom Book Club. So I'm glad that I was, made aware of this book, because I probably might not have found it otherwise, so I enjoyed reading that. I am in the middle of, and will share my thoughts about later in a review, I've been reading Mindful Tarot by Lisa Freinkel Tishman. I feel like I've mentioned this before. It's full of post-its. I've got my bookmark in there. I'm really getting a lot out of this book. It has introduced, and I'm coming at it as someone who has read plenty of tarot books, but really nothing specifically on mindfulness. So that, I could imagine how someone maybe coming from the opposite angle, who's like newer to tarot but more experienced with mindfulness, would like experience this book in a really different way than me. But I've been very much enjoying it, and I'm going to take up, and I'll talk about this in a future video, I am going to take up, Lisa talks about different kind of ways of doing like a year ahead spread, for example. And I'm going to take some of that to heart when I do mine. I've been working with when they came up. Lisa has, what are they called? Guided meditation, like audio for guided meditations on her website that go with this book. So they come up in the book with a little bell symbol, like where they're mentioned. So I've been engaging with those and doing some journaling with this book. It's already on a favorites, even though I'm not done. I'm done the earlier chapters, and now I'm kind of into the section where she's providing kind of reflections on each card in the deck. So when I'm done this, I will do a maybe book review or discussion, but I think it's really excellent. The other book I read in November, or started in November but didn't finish, but I wanted to give a little honorable mention because it's not a favorite, let me tell you. Waking the Witch by Pam Grossman. This book we've been reading in Katie Flowers' Discord in the Blossom Book Club. And this was the book that was picked for November, and I started it. I didn't care for it. I'm not going to finish it, but what I will say about this book is that I have really enjoyed the book club, and a favorite thing for November has been some of the conversation and discussion about this book that has kind of, we've talked about the different kind of representations and definitions of witch in the book, and the kind of connections between like witch and kind of particular ideas about gender, about women, fictionalized representations of witches, things like this. All of that is in this book, and while I did not like the book, I'm trying to be nice, I didn't like the book. While I didn't like the book, I really, really enjoyed the discussion about the book. So the discussion about Waking the Witch is a favorite for November. So those are my books. And a final favorite, well, I have two final favorites. My first of the two, my penultimate favorite, is that I got my Metaphysician's Day Planner by Benebell for 2020. I think that I'm going to do a video of how I'm setting mine up. I'm doing this differently than I did last year. Last year I used my Metaphysician's Day Planner to keep track of readings I did for myself or any kind of ritual work that I was doing for myself. So I kept it. I didn't really use it as a planner so much as kind of a place for documenting that I kept at home. And this year I am going to be working with this as both a place to keep track of readings for myself and all the things that I was doing with it this past year, but I'm going to also use it for my day planner, for my regular jobs, two of them. I'm going to keep track of my, my deadlines and so on for my work in this one, and friends' birthdays and other commitments and all of the things that I would normally use a day planner for. This year, 2019, I had two planners. My Metaphysician's Day Planner is kind of my private, record keeping planner. And then I had just like a kind of regular run-of-the-mill day planner that I used for my jobs and appointments, medical appointments, haircuts, all that kind of stuff. But 2020, I am focusing on, integrating these kind of aspects of my life in various kinds of ways. And I want to work on my tendency to compartmentalize things, in the ways that I do. So I'll be probably having a chat about this as well later on when I want to talk about words of the year and things like this, because this is all kind of part and parcel together. But for my 2020, I'm going to be using this planner for everything, for keeping track of everything I need to do, keeping track of my cards. I'm going to keep track of my learning in here. So I'm going to be learning Lenormand, continuing to work on astrology and keep it all in here. And I'm going to do a video about how I've been setting this up. This year it had a pocket in the back, so I made a pocket and put some stickers. I've been going through and putting in, I got some stickers on Etsy for the quarters and full moon and new moon, so I've been putting those in where they fit. I'm also putting in indicators here. I printed these off with sticker paper. Putting in indicators when the moon is in my sun sign, my moon sign, or my rising sign. I'm a Sagittarius rising. Putting in all of those indicators there. I really like the Metaphysician's Day Planner. I chose this cover for it because it matches the cover. It matches the cover that Benebell picked for if you order the optional accompanying like guidebook and manual. And I like matching. I like matchy things. So that's what I went for. So I'll show more of this later when I've actually got more of it done and set up. I think it's a great tool, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm enjoying, even though it's only been November, I'm getting it set up. So when it comes to 2020, I will be so ready. And something I put on just this last week, which is my final favorite to mention, is that I did put in a ocean wave sticker in February 2020 because favorite thing to happen all month of November, we booked a vacation. I have not been on a vacation in years, and I really wanted for this year to go on what will be my February reading week. So when I'm off from my work at the university, somewhere to escape we'll probably be in waist deep snow or something by then, who knows. But my body really needs a break from that when that kind of season is going on. So we have booked a vacation, and I am going to be going to Mexico in February 2020, which when it rolls around to February 2020, you better believe I will be making a favorites video because I cannot wait. So that's been my November. I'm not sure yet. Normally in these kind of videos, I would share a little bit about plans for December. I'm not sure yet which decks will be the most work with in December, though I do have a suspicions. And I'm going to keep working with the Augenblick for now. And I'm going to keep working on my Metaphysician's Day Planner, which I have grand plans for, an elaborate setup for that I'll share later. That's my plans for December. Very loose. I'm going to be under a mountain of grading papers, grading exams as the term comes to an end. But hopefully I will have enough time to continue to pop on here regularly and say hi to everyone. So I hope everyone is having a great day and great weekend. I was going to say, I hope that you're staying warm as I look at the snow outside the window, but maybe where you are it is warm. Who knows? I hope that everyone is well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one. Bye.